Hi, I'm Ren Burgett with Burgett and Ross Insurance. We have been insuring Tennessee families and businesses for 40 years. And in this quick video, I'm going to talk to you about what you need to know before you get auto insurance. So here are some notes about a quote. First, I want to review the biggest mistakes people make when they're shopping for car insurance. Number one is that they shop for price and not for coverage. I understand not wanting to spend a lot of money on insurance, but it's so important that you get the coverage you need. I know you look at insurance as just another bill you have to pay, but if something catastrophic were to happen in your life, you would want the insurance to be there. So it's really important that you look at coverage and not just price. Second is getting a last-minute quote, and a lot of people do this. They realize their insurance is about to renew, so they want to shop around and see what kind of quote they can get. What a lot of people might not realize is that you get a discount when you quote your insurance early. So let's say your insurance policy expires March 1st. If you start shopping around on February 1st, you're going to get an early quote discount, and that can save you money on your premium. The next mistake people make is not speaking to an agent. As an agent, we're really able to help you shop around, understand the different insurance terms, and really help you find the best coverage that you need. At Burgett and Ross Insurance, we have several different insurance carriers, so not only can we find you the coverage that you need, but we can help you get a premium for the price that you're looking for to make sure you get the best coverage at the best price. And the last mistake people make is not being aware of all the discounts that are available to them. I'm sure you know that you receive a discount when you bundle policies. So if you were to get your renter's insurance or your home insurance along with your auto insurance, you're going to receive a multi-policy discount. There are other discounts to be aware of too. You can get a safe driving discount if you participate in one of the carrier's safe driving program, and I've seen that program save consumers up to 17% on their policy, so it is a really great program and several carriers offer it. You can also get a discount if you have a low mileage vehicle. So if you have a car that you drive less than 8,000 miles a year, you can receive a discount for that as well. So when you begin shopping for your insurance, you just want to make sure that you're taking advantage of all the discounts that are available to you. And the best way to know that is to make sure you're working with an agent. Now let's review what you need to look for when you begin to shop for auto insurance. I'm going to share with you how you can save money and how you can get the best coverage. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is liability insurance. Liability coverage pays to repair damage or treat injuries that you cause to others in an accident. Liability coverage is required if you live in the state of Tennessee. So there's two types of liability coverage you can get on your auto. One is a split limit liability coverage, which is the most popular, and the second one is a combined single limit coverage. I'm going to review both of these liability coverages and you can decide which one is best for you. A split limit liability coverage divides the coverage limits up over three areas. One amount for bodily injury per person, the second amount for bodily injury per accident, and the third amount for property damage for the incident. So you might see it listed on an insurance policy as I have shown in the example, 100, 350. So this basically means that your liability, if you were to be held liable for an accident, your insurance would pay $100,000 to any one individual that was injured in the accident. It would pay $300,000 if multiple people were injured in the accident, so two or more people in an accident, and then your insurance would pay $50,000 for property damage. There's different amounts you can purchase with insurance, but 100, 350 is typically the most popular when it comes to getting split liability coverage. The Tennessee minimum requirement is $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident, and $15,000 for property damage. Now, if you're just trying to find the cheapest insurance to pay the least amount of money possible, just be aware that anything that occurs outside of the limits of your liability, you will be responsible for that dollar amount. That's why it's so important to get the right coverage. So let's say you're in an auto accident and you're at fault. And this actually happened to me not too long ago. I wasn't at fault, but I was the victim of an auto accident. Someone was texting and driving and they hit my car. And when they did, it caused my car to spin into another car and then hit a fence. So the driver was held liable for that accident. I'm not sure what his insurance coverage was, but for this example, I'm going to say say that he had the Tennessee state minimum requirements. So let's say that he only had $15,000 in coverage for property damage. Now, there were no medical injuries to me, thank goodness, or to the other driver I hit, so his insurance didn't have to pay for the first two options on split limit liability. So he didn't have to pay for bodily injury per person or bodily injury for the accident because there were no injuries. However, his insurance did have to pay for property damage. He had to pay for my car, he had to pay for the car that I hit, and then he had to pay for the fence that I ran into when my car spun. Now, the claim for my car alone was $20,000. So let's say my claim was $20,000, the person I hit caused $10,000 in damage, and then the fence cost $15,000 to replace. So that would be $45,000. Now, if he only had the state minimum requirement of $15,000 in property damage, he would have to pay the other $30,000. So that's why it's so important that you make sure that you have the right coverage, because if something were to ever happen to you and you were held liable for it, you are going to be responsible for the additional amount of money in the accident that you cause. Now let's look at the second option, which is combined single limit coverage. This gives you one amount of coverage to use as needed for the entire accident. So basically, combined single limit liability ensures a set number that the insurance company will pay, which will include liability and property damage. For instance, if you chose to carry $500,000 total for combined single limit coverage, if you get into an accident and you're held liable for it, that $500,000 can be used for anything. So unlike split limit liability, where you're only allocated a certain dollar amount for bodily injury or for property damage, combined single limit lets you use whatever money you need to pay for any damage caused in an accident. Now, combined single limit coverage is more expensive because it's better coverage. So you just need to decide which one is better for you. Now let's review uninsured motorist coverage. This is not required for you to get in the state of Tennessee. However, I advise everyone to get this insurance because it's extremely important. Basically, uninsured motorist coverage covers you in an accident should you be hit by an unidentified driver. So someone that has hit you and then ran off, or someone that doesn't have the liability insurance that the state of Tennessee requires. And it's set up the same way on an insurance policy or insurance quote, where it's split limit coverage. So you would have $100,000 for bodily injury per person, or $300,000 per accident. So if you were to be injured in an accident with someone that had no insurance, your uninsured motorist coverage would take care of that for you. The second amount is uninsured motorist property damage, and you'll see it listed as UMPD on a policy. And this pays for any damage that an uninsured motorist would cause to your vehicle. So could you imagine if you got in a hit and run accident, the driver runs off, you never know who hit you can't catch the guy, and there was $20,000 worth of damage caused to your car. If you didn't have this uninsured motorist property damage coverage, you would have to pay for it. Your insurance would not pay for it. So it's really important to make sure you have this coverage on your quote and on your policy, but it is optional coverage. Next, let's review medical payment. Medical payments coverage pays for medical costs after you're hurt in an accident, and it doesn't matter who's at fault, the medical payments will cover that. And medical payments will also help pay for the funeral expense or any injury sustained by your passengers. I know that's a somber thought, but if you're in an accident and your passenger is killed, then medical payments would pay for the cost of that funeral. And you have options. You could choose not to get medical payment coverage on your policy, or you can get limits all the way up to $10,000. Now let's review deductibles. The deductible you choose for your policy can really make a big difference in what you're paying in premium. So deductible is basically the amount you pay before your insurance kicks in. You have two types. You have collision and comprehensive. Collision coverage basically covers anything that you collide with. So if you hit another object, if you hit a car, a lamppost, a tree, that's when your collision coverage kicks in. The second is comprehensive coverage. Comprehensive is basically anything other than collision, any type of damage to your car. So it could be fire, it could be theft, it could be hail damage, and when you hit a deer, that also falls into comprehensive coverage. Now, the higher deductible you choose, the lower your premium. You could get a deductible that's $2,000 and it would lower your premium significantly. So you just need to decide if you're more comfortable paying more in premium every month, or if you would prefer just to have a large sum in a deductible. If something were to happen, you would just pay a larger deductible and a lower monthly premium. This is an example of what a quote would look like. So for this quote, we did the split limit liability coverage. So this person got the standard 100-300 limit on bodily injury, so $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident, and that premium cost $134 a year. This is for an annual premium. Then you have the property damage at $100,000, and that's what this cost. Then you have medical payments to others. This is $5,000 and it costs $28 for a year. This is the uninsured motorist coverage. So it matches the split limit liability coverage at $100,000, $300,000. Then we have our uninsured motorist property damage. I'll jump down here. This is $100,000. So that matches our property damage in our liability policy, and that's $10 a year. And then you have your two deductibles. So we have comprehensive deductible and collision deductible. So obviously collision deductible is going to be more expensive because if you collide with another object, chances are the damage is going to be more significant. So that's why this is more expensive. There's also roadside assistance that's available to you, and it's $9.80 a year in this quote example. So if you have AAA, you might not need roadside assistance. So know that this is on most quotes. It's just added into the policy. If you don't need it, you can remove it from the insurance quote you're receiving, and that will save you some money. Loss of use coverage is if you ever need to rent a car, if there's damage to your vehicle. So if you were to get into an accident, like the example I gave at the beginning of the video, when I was in a car accident, I had to get a rental car for about 20 days as they were deciding whether or not to total out my car or try to get it repaired. So that's when my loss of use coverage kicked in, and I was able to rent a car for $35 a day. If you were to ever be in an auto accident, you want to make sure that you have access to renting a car. So this is basically everything that you can kind of play around with when you're quoting your auto insurance, and the numbers that you can change up to see how much it will be to make sure you're getting the best rate with the best coverage. So if all this sounds great and you're ready to get an auto quote, the next step is just to click the Get a Quote button that's on our website. It will take you through a form to complete with information I'm going to need to be able to get you a quote. It will be a preliminary quote just to give you a general idea of what the rates are, and I can shop several different carriers to see which one has the best coverage and the best price for what you're looking for. So if you have any questions, if there was something I didn't cover that you just have a quick question about, then send me an email. My email address is burgettinsurance@gmail.com.